Welcome back to It's Festive Fat Time. It's Christmas and we're all going to put on those pounds. And today we've got Dennis Roebuck with us, who is from the Fit Golfer Club. And he's going to make sure that even if those little mince pies come in, we're going to stop them making too much fatness on the belt. So, Dennis, nice to see you, mate. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you, Chris. I'm good. It's the mince pies that do it, though. It's not my fault. Disclaimer.
All right, so let's just go into the first question then in terms of this. It's Zoom tennis, quick fire questions over the net if we can. Dennis, in the run up to Christmas, it's temptation and indulgence. What are your recommendations for trying to make sure that we don't completely get festive fatness around us?
Right. So, I mean, this one's a really common one, isn't it? For me, firstly, I think I like to draw a line under this thing and say to people to let your hair down. It's Christmas. We've had a tough year. This has been the toughest year we've probably had in our lifetimes, especially me as a young lad. So for me, people do need to let their hair down. So don't be too strict on yourself. That's absolutely fine, you know. But at the same time, just be a bit mindful about what you are eating and try and curb it as best you can. So it's been a high pressure year. Let your hair down, have a few drinks, have a few mince pies if that's what floats your boat. But in terms of people that are into the training and things like that, or thinking about it, try and take the pressure off that as well. You can sort of throttle back a little bit, and that's what I've been doing with my guys in the Fit Golfer Club. So on a normal time of year, they're tracking food, they're tracking workouts and things like that. I kind of loosen the grip a little bit, and they can still track, but they can track by hand and eyes. So they can use their hands to measure portions, look at your plate of food and look at what you're eating, taking pictures of it. Just have a little word with yourself. Most of us are adult enough to be honest and know what's good and what's bad. So I like to sort of focus on habits like that, the simple stuff. Daily hydration, getting that 2.5 litres of water in. Have one big bottle. It's a simple thing, pays dividends massively. Protein intake, focus on keeping the protein intake fresh, lean, not processed, things like that. And not too many bars. People tend to go for the bars, but the bars are actually quite high in fat content, and it sort of leads you down the path of being a snacker, which you don't really want. And again, another simple thing, daily movement. Trying to get those steps in. The figure's 10,000 steps, doesn't necessarily have to be 10,000, but look at what you're doing now. Try and improve it. We're not trying to break any records. We've got 2 weeks till Christmas. Let's just keep doing a bit, keep on top of it, be adult about it, and you'll make progress. And you can still enjoy your Christmas. There's no reason not to, especially after this year.
Okay, so I see it. You're giving us some license to indulge a little bit, but keep the habits constant in terms of making sure that we haven't lost all the good ground that we've done this year.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people have put a lot of hard work in this year in difficult circumstances, so it'd be a shame to throw it away. But, you know, what I'm sort of saying is don't go binging. It's the binging that's going to do you, because it's going to affect all sorts of things, hormones, mood, you know, willpower. Then it's much more difficult to climb back on the horse once you're at such a low point. You know, just curb it a bit, pace it, almost plan it, look ahead. And if you are going out for that evening, look at how you can throttle back earlier that week and try and curb the calories, for example. You know, little adjustments like that, rather than being reactive, will always lead to a positive result.
Okay.
So
good. First question then, that's done, Dennis. What's your question back to me then in terms of our first little survey of points then?
All right. So, well, I just want to know, how does fitness play a part in your life, Chris?
Oh, it's a big part of it, actually. And I get really grumpy if I haven't actually had my sort of weekly fix or daily fix. Medal is hanging behind me. So I went long on Ironman, and it's kind of my fix. Is triathlon is something I absolutely love.
Right.
But for me, I have simple little habits. So every morning I try to go have a walk. I try to get 2,000 steps in before I even sit down for my desk in the day. It's that's sort of and then lunchtime again, I'll try and go out. That's another 2,000 steps. So even by 2 o'clock, I've done 4,000 steps. And it's just trying to build it in as a habit to make sure that exercise isn't a chore to me, but also just listen to my body. And if I've got a bit of a tweak or a niggle, that's the body saying enough. Stop that and try something else. But it doesn't mean to say I lay it off completely. It might just mean that I stop cycling and I go walking, or I stop running and I go walking, or I'll stop swimming and I'll do something else instead. But stopping anything is the worst thing imaginable, because I know how love I have my food. And if I love my food, I love my waistband, and the two just don't go in sync together. So, yeah.
You mentioned habits a lot there. It's so habit driven, and that's a lot of what I do. A lot of people think personal trainer, counting reps, lifting weights, the coaching element around your life outside of that 1 hour in the gym is the biggest part of it. That's where you get the results. And if it's a habit, it locks in, and it's such, you can hear it in your voice that it's there, you know, it's not in the gym.
Yes. And a lot of people say, you know, those people that know me best, they just say, I think you need to go for a run.
Yeah.
Because I'm a crotchety old bugger if I'm not having a run, or endorphins haven't mixed around the system for the day. They know there's something out of kilter. So it's kind of, I think you need to go for a run. So that's okay. All right. Second question back to you then, Dennis. And I've loved this one in terms of lockdown. You said it's been a tough year, but you seem to have come across as somebody that's always been on their game and positive. So what lessons can you draw from lockdown in terms of how you've managed to stay fit and ready and on top of your game?
Well, I won't say I'm on top of my game, but I have done my best. And that's mainly down to my own children pushing me. They've got into it as well. Basically, it's night and day, the difference exercise and good nutrition makes to people. I've seen it. I've got a client base. There's some that have switched off and there's some that have stayed on it. And the difference in those, now they can come back to training. There's some that you're having to drag, and there's some that are just walking through the door. And it's so obvious that all happened during lockdown. And those people that trained, they're healthier in mind and body, they're ready to go. It's not affected them as such, really. You know, there's lots of people that, like I said, that are in my bubble, that haven't exercised, and you can just see it in them. They're the ones that have struggled, you know. So that's my biggest lesson from lockdown. Just how important what I do for a living actually is, far beyond being in the gym. You know, and it's great because it's the biggest time I've felt making a massive difference to somebody's life.
Yeah.
Just keeping them moving. And they tell you that readily. It's the first thing they say when you go back to the gym. They're thankful, they're appreciative. And it's not because they've made a complete physique change. It's because mentally they've stayed sharp, they've not got down, you know, and they're still managing to carry on with their lives in what has been a terrible year.
Yeah.
That's my biggest lesson, just how important it actually is. It's reaffirmed it in my mind. So
okay, I know when I'm coaching sometimes somebody comes back and you think they haven't quite committed to the actions that perhaps that we agreed to do. So how do you try to get them to embrace that commitment factor, that you know they've got it in them, but they don't quite want to push themselves as far as you think that they can? What kind of questions or what kind of techniques do you employ to do that?
Yeah, so it's interesting. It's bringing them with you. So often I'll go out and train with them if they need it that much, you know, a bit of comfort, or I'll ask them a question. For example, a really quick example would be asking my guys to put photos of their food on the page. And somebody might put chicken chow mein and 2 flapjacks on. It's happened this week. So it's just asking the question, like, how could we get more vegetables, or how could we avoid going for snacks? And they'll answer their own questions. They are adults, treat them like adults, and they'll make that change, and then they'll proudly put on a chicken and vegetable picture the following day. And it's almost a soft touch way of doing it, rather than telling them, pointing the finger, outing them in the group publicly. Just getting conversations. We are adults and you need to be treated as such, and and people are capable. They just need that little nudge in the right manner. That's coaching, isn't it?
Yes.
Coaching. So
yeah. Is there a particular person you can see now, without naming names, that you would just like to tell them a story to the camera, but actually not name them, to say, do you know what? You are my proudest possible client in terms of what you've done?
Ooh. I mean, in the 4 group, John Rawlings has been an inspiration.
Yeah.
But he reflects it back to, he's inspired me because he's so upbeat. He's so upbeat. And he just embraces it. And there's still loads of room for John to improve. I shouldn't be naming him, should I? You said not to name him.
He now knows he's got a long way to go.
Yeah, because he's still a naughty boy locked inside a man's body. You know, but it's great. It's great working with people like that. So yeah, that'd be the one. I want John to know he still can improve tenfold on what he's already achieved, and what he's already achieved is huge. So
pleased to know, I actually went on a conference call this week, and John stood up and basically showed everybody how proud he was of the progress that he had made. So it's really weird that you mentioned him, and then actually I can see how proud he is of his accomplishments. Okay.
Oh, it's great. It's great.
Good. Anything else you want to come back to me? I've hit you with a lot of points there. So what's another one? Back to me.
So you mentioned triathlons then.
Yeah.
Are you race ready all the time? And if you are, how do you keep yourself race ready?
Well, the great thing about triathlons, we have an on-season and an off-season, and we don't like to do much in the winter. So I wouldn't say I'm a cuddly teddy bear, but this time of year I do come off a little bit. But really, I know that come March and April, my first race will be end of April, May. So I have to start to really dial in the effort from January, February, and then it's on race program. I have a race plan, 12-week plan, and that'll get me to the point where I know I'm ready and I'm fit and I've got everything ready to go. And then from then, it's just a case of a little every often, just keep the metrics going, whether it be swimming, cycling, or running. But the most important thing about being race ready is that nutrition is such a key component of that. I know you talk about hydration, but if I get my nutrition wrong, then everything starts to fall off the wagon from there. And equally, I talk about injury. If I can just detect a little tweak in my Achilles or my hamstring, you've just got to listen to it, because if you push that too hard when you're racing every 4 weeks, then you've lost all of the good work that I was doing throughout December, January, and then in the spring. It's gone in a stupid moment of, oh, it'll be okay, I'll just run through it. Never run through an injury. You have to absolutely convalesce, listen to the body, go and see a sports physio, get some massage, get some stretching done, and just rest the muscle. Because if you ping it and stretch it and tear it, you're absolutely snookered for 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Fully agree with that. But most of us aren't getting paid to do this stuff, are we? And we've got other jobs and things. And yeah, the risk reward, you've got to listen to your body. And nutrition, it's just all up there. Mindfulness. I don't mean that as like in Fluffyville. I mean, actually just be mindful of what you're doing, or, you know, what you are fueling your body with. You can't put diesel in a petrol car, can you? You just can't. And that's what
we have.
That's what we do.
You've done it. Have you done it?
Nearly.
I've done it twice. Full tank, 70 quid's worth of diesel. Oh, no.
Did you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Expensive fill up.
Yes. There's a lot of stuff about preparing for Christmas and not overindulging in diet, but inevitably it's going to happen. We're all going to have a little bit too much, and we're probably going to find that belt and those trousers a little bit snug. So what's the prep? What should we do after Christmas to get ourselves back in some kind of fitness state again?
Yeah, well, again, and I'd always say to people, don't beat yourself up. We're all human. We've done it every year we've been alive. So, you know, one big thing I think for people is now, I mean, make an appointment to speak to somebody, to go to the gym, to anything. Make an appointment, and then it's in your calendar, your mindset's there, you're doing that on such and such a day. Even if that just makes you throttle back for 5 or 6 days before you go, because you know you're going, it's had an effect. And it's huge booking in and talking to people. So another thing with that is getting family buy-in. So speak to your spouse, speak to your kids, get them involved. I always make sort of food tracking type charts that people can print off, and the kids get involved. It's all colourful, and once you get that family buy-in, you're all on that path together rather than being that person sat eating that separate meal. Another big one is planning your own expectations. So, and I'm guilty, you'll go back to the gym, you'll think you can pick up where you left off mid-December, late November, whatever. Just ease yourself back in. You don't want any injury. The risk reward there, you've already mentioned it yourself for your training. Just take it easy, do a bit, go home, get back into the habits, speak to somebody about your habits, and build it slowly. One crazy thing I say to people, and I've just mentioned it on my podcast actually, and you'll probably shake your head, don't set goals. Everybody comes into the new year and sets New Year's resolutions, goals, and it's usually lose 20, 30, 40 pounds, get a six-pack, and then come the end of January, we've not hit that goal. It just comes back and hits you straight in the face. So what I tend to get people to do is set little landmarks. So tomorrow, what are you going to do? You're more than likely going to do it. If I say to you tomorrow, what are you going to do, Chris? You'll say, I'm going to go to the gym. Fine, do that. Correct it. What are you going to do tomorrow, Chris? And it's going to add up. It's going to be a totting up process rather than this big overarching thing that we're going for. So in terms of goals, it's admirable, but not necessarily helpful in that sort of context. So, and just the normal things, get back on it with your hydration, get back on it just trying to eat healthy, whether that's one meal at a time, just those little things. And one more little tip that I would say to people is get to the gym as early as possible. Gyms are 24/7 now, majority of them, or if you train at home, get in there, get it done before your day's work, get it done early. The gym will be quieter. You'll have less things to put you off, less time in the day to think about not training. You've already done it. Your hydration, your nutrition will be better because you don't want to waste that effort. So get ahead of the game, get in there early, feel energized, get into a new ritual. It sets that habit, sets your stall out for the day and the rest of the year. And you just got more chance of success. So that's mine, in no particular order. I think they're all great points. Each person's individual, so they'd be in different ranking order for different people. But for me, 5 or 6 points there that are winners.
Do you know what, Dennis? There's such common sense things that you've just sort of articulated them with such basic common sense, and actually saying to people, get that appointment in now. It's really good to sort of dial it in. Yeah. And book the appointment with you or your trainer or your golf membership, or actually say, let's have a game of golf on, or let's have a run on, and actually book it in now, because then it's kind of waiting for you in the future. Whereas if you wake up on the 4th of January and then trying to do it, you're kind of going to be a bit more sloth-like and a bit more fat-like, and you're not going to have as much inclination. I love all those points around expectation and getting the buy-in from the family and all those people helping you. Really useful points, that, Dennis, to get us out of Christmas lethargy and into 2021 without beating yourself up, without doing the 20, 30, 40 pounds of goal setting. Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, just a final question then. Reflecting back on 2020, going into 2021, what would be the real takeaway for you personally around lockdown that you're going to remember this year for, either positive or negative, that you'd think, that was my lesson, and I'm going to remember that going into every year from this one?
Oh, I think I've touched on it really. It's the importance, it's reaffirmed the balance and the importance of what I do in terms of the coaching side of it, the 23 hours the rest of the day away from the gym for people, and being there and just asking questions and checking that people are all right. As a personal trainer, it's probably not something you do, because in a gym, you're working hour after hour. One person comes in, train them, off they go, the next person. Whereas what I'm doing now is online. I can reach out to people pretty much all day, constantly, and they know they can message me, and I will answer them straight back. And that's brilliant. That I really love what I do at the minute. And I haven't said that for a long time, previously. So my big lesson is actually how important this work is for people, and the coaching side around it. It's not about training regimes or protocols, those kind of things. They're third, fourth, fifth down the list. People's well-being is completely a different kettle of fish, and it's a really good challenge to try and really rewarding to know that you can do that with somebody, so that's my big lesson, really.
Okay, good. Well, Dennis, I can see your passion, and I can see how much you're helping clients, and I've seen it in the flesh well, not physically in the flesh with John Rawlings, thankfully. Poor John, he's going to get tagged by so many people.
I didn't know it was a Zoom flasher.
Well, no, he had his shirt on. We didn't see anything that was underneath that. There's obviously a pair of rippling abs in there somewhere that he hasn't showed us yet. People might be curious to know how we can get hold of Dennis. So let me just share my screen again, and we can see Dennis's details here now. So he's the fit golfer. But you people that aren't just around golf, Dennis, in terms of helping people?
My niche is actually male golfers, yeah.
Okay.
Not that I won't work with anybody, but just when I'm putting my stuff out there, that's sort of who I work with, that's who I enjoy working with, and obviously I get a few games of golf out of it, so it's a win-win.
Yeah, well, the niche is really important. I think when I talk about clients, what's your niche, focus on your niche, and attract the people into that. It's a great group. I've been on your Facebook group there, the Fit Golf Club, lots of tips and tricks there, and like you say, a real community spirit of people helping each other through this period of fitness and weight loss. So
thank you,
Dennis, great to speak to you. I wish you a very happy Christmas. Watch those mince pies, mate. I think they're on your wish list.
You know what? This is the first year, you won't believe this, I have actually had a mince pie. It's like when you're growing up, isn't it? You don't want red wine, and then all of a sudden you grow up and red wine's nice. It's the same thing. I've had my first mince pie.
I have to confess, I've just been to the supermarket today, and I just got tempted with those 6 mince pies. So they're down there in the cupboard shouting at me going, ooh, you had a tough day, go and get a mince pie. Yeah. Dennis, good to speak to you, mate. Thank you so much.
You too. Take care.
Thank you.